Ladies and gentlemen, I've been waiting all day for something interesting to happen, so I can make a video to educate or at the very least entertain you people, but so far nothing's really happened. And I know I'm not really the entertainment sort. What, is Mono Tony going to dance a little jig? I can waffle, and I might even tell a joke worthy of offending some yous. And I was about to do that, but then I had another thought. Let's talk about some of the other dumb stuff that's going on around here. You probably noticed that I work on a lot of Ford Escapes, but did you know that I'm working on these things even when I'm not recording myself doing it? And I do a lot of piddly stuff that I don't really share with you. So let's go over a piddly thing that I'm always doing with these Ford Escapes. This is the Ford Escape that had 2 dead cells because oil was leaking past the valve cover gasket down into the spark plug holes, causing a failure. I've replaced the valve cover gaskets and the coil boots, but it's got another problem. It's kind of loud and shaky. It kind of feels like a big yellow 180 horsepower lady pleaser. Look at the ripples in this bottle of water. This thing's shaky. It's really shaky when it first warms up, and I can feel the engine in the steering wheel. I'll spare you the theatrics and just tell you that it has a bad engine mount. Now, anytime you're working on engine mounts, especially with a front-wheel drive vehicle, you have to have the engine in a resting position. You do that by blocking the wheels and putting the thing in neutral. That should hold it. Into neutral. The front engine mount is usually the culprit, also known as the main engine mount or engine mount A, and when it goes bad, the other engine mounts take on a load that they're not designed to bear, and they can fail too. The first thing you want to do when you're looking at these things is look for cracking or fluid leaking out of them. These things have like a sponge on the inside, soaked in a fluid that feels similar to antifreeze. You definitely have to bite the pillow to be an engineer at Ford, but even if you don't see any problems there, it doesn't mean the engine mount's good. The next thing you have to do is look at the gap. I'm having a really hard time showing you this. Don't worry, I've got one apart inside we can use for a better angle, but there's supposed to be a gap between this rubber shoulder and this section of the engine mount right here. This one doesn't have a gap. I don't know what that gap's supposed to be, but this trim panel tool should fit in there. It just doesn't. Here's one apart on my super clean workbench, and there's that gross fluid that they got in there. Let me hammer this thing back together so you can see that gap I was trying to show you. When I say hammer back together, I mean hammer back together. Let me clean this mess up a little bit there. All right, now we're gonna put this thing together. This thing it goes like that right there. I don't know if you can see it. Now we gotta hammer these little flaps back. Don't worry, I am an expert at whacking. There's a better way to do this, but this is what I'm going to do with this because it's junk. There, good enough. Right there, these are the gaps I was telling you about. There's supposed to be a gap here and a gap right there with the weight of the engine sitting on the mount. If there's no gap on one side or the other, or both, the mount is bad. I cannot stress enough that the car absolutely has to be in neutral so that there's no bind on that mount when you check it. If you drive a Ford Escape and it has over 100,000 miles, it might be time to look at that mount. Trust me, you'll like it a lot more if it doesn't feel all junky and rattly.